Lives will be changed on November 18th as the 2020 NBA Draft will take place inside ESPN facilities in Bristol, Connecticut. From a pool of over 200 known prospects worldwide, only 60 players will be named as rookies for the next season. A lot has been made of the 10 best players in the draft, but not much attention has been given to the prospects at the lower end of the draft board. Every draft includes players that merely make up the numbers and finish of proceedings late in the second round. So let's talk about the 10 worst players in the draft that are anticipated to be selected between the 50th and 60th spots. 50. Nich Hinton is a prospect that doesn't jump off the page with his numbers or measurements, hence his position on most mock draft boards. He is also 21 years old, which puts a cap on his upside for most potential suitors. Hinton averaged just 10.6 points per game in an average program at Houston for the Cougars, and his showing doesn't really suggest he can be a star at the next level. He does possess some intangible assets, most notably rebounding and the potential to be a solid defender in the league. 51. Cassius Winston. Cassius Winston is another older prospect anticipated to be selected late in proceedings. He isn't physically gifted and is significantly undersized at 6'1", considering he doesn't have an elite NBA skill set to make up for it. Understandably, he will have difficulty finishing around the rim and inside the paint in the NBA, and will be hard to keep on the floor as a defensive liability due to his size. Nevertheless, he may still have a place in the league as a solid backup point guard to relieve minutes from a high-level starter. He is a team-first guy and one of the best PGs to wear a Michigan State uniform in their history. 52. Scrubb. Scrubb is a shooting guard out of largely unknown John A. Logan. At 6'6" and 220 pounds, Scrubb has good size as a guard, and his 21.9 points per game in college is hard to measure given the lack of competition he faced last campaign. Scrubb has good tools on both ends, but scouts find it hard to determine his growth given he played against lower-level competition and is about to enter the best league in the world. He has shown flashes he can succeed at the next level, but his low motor, poor IQ, and inconsistent shot make him a less attractive gamble. 53. Nich Richards. Centers are having a hard time being placed in the league nowadays, and Nich Richards finds himself in the midst of it all. He's coming out of a great program at Kentucky, but even though he's nearly 23 years old, he's still very much a work in progress. Richards has drawn comparisons to ex-NBA role player Samuel Dalembert, and his physical tools are promising given he's a legitimate 6'11" with a 7'3" wingspan. Like most big men who lack mobility, Richards has a poor motor, and questions surround his dedication and love of the craft. His lack of assertiveness has dropped his stock, and he may end up being the biggest what if in the class. Richards did average 11.9 points and 8.7 rebounds over the Nike EYBL, meaning he could develop in the right situation. 54. Omer Yurtseven. Omer Yurtseven is another center who has moved on and off the draft board. His position is against him, and unlike most big men, he doesn't enjoy contacting or banging with other front court players. Yurtseven is a more finesse player, but doesn't have an elite NBA skill coming into the league. His scoring has been talked about, but lacks a post-game or any moves down low. His athleticism is a concern on the next level, and so is his IQ, as he looks lost on the court far too often. He burst onto the scene in 2016 with a 91-point, 28-rebound game in Italy, but that was a long time ago, and he hasn't really improved as a prospect since. 55. Markus Howard. Markus Howard may well be the best player on this list, but finds himself at the end of the second round due to his height at 5'11". As you can imagine, smaller guards are becoming less common around the league as the NBA gets bigger and more athletic at each position with each passing season. Howard has had notable meetings with the Golden State Warriors and Dallas Mavericks, but it's yet to be seen if any front office will take a chance on him. He could end up being the next Isaiah Thomas, or he may be a wasted pick for an organization that needs an immediate contributor. 56. Lamar Stevens. Lamar Stevens is the first wingman we'll cover on this list. Penn State isn't a basketball factory by any means, but Stevens could make ways into reversing their reputation at the end of this draft. At 23 years old, Stevens' upside is unclear as he initially declared for the 2019 draft before returning to school. At this stage, Stevens is a solid pick in the second round given what's available. 57. Austin Wiley. There is a clear trend of big men being less attractive players in this draft, and Austin Wiley is another one. At nearly 22 years old, his development hasn't shown any signs he will have a long career on the next stage. The program at Auburn helps his cause, but his 8.8 points and 6.2 rebounds as a center isn't turning many heads right now. 58. Jalen Harris. Jalen Harris is a junior out of Nevada occupying the point guard position. The NBA is currently undergoing a golden age of guards, meaning all potential prospects are measured against what is transpiring in the current landscape. Harris thrives in the pick and roll and is an elite level 3-point shooter, but really lacks in everything on the defensive end. If his shot making translates, he'll be a consistent rotation player, but his absolute ceiling looks like a high-level sixth man providing a spark off the bench. 59. Mamadi Diakite. Mamadi Diakite is as raw as they come. Whoever ends up selecting Diakite, if he does get chosen, will understand he'll be a low-risk, high-reward project. Diakite has improved every season and can potentially find his place as a serviceable stretch 4 in the modern NBA. How he develops is very much a question mark, and being a wild card justifies his late second-round projection. 60. Yoeli Childs. Yoeli Childs' draft stock was affected by two major things: his age and his dislocated finger last season. He did increase in his draft stock slightly during the 2020 NBA Combine, but it's hard to say if his name will be called on the evening. There are many players that could be the last selection of this draft, but given his 20 points and 10.4 rebounds in 111 out of 119 starts for the Cougars, as well as shooting 57.4% from the field and nearly 50% from downtown, can only help his case. The NBA draft is the essence of a true lottery, with every prospect having some level of uncertainty transitioning onto the next level. The 50 to 60 picks could turn out to be very good, or they could turn out to be exactly what they are, the very last selections who fade away into irrelevancy over time.